So welcome. Let's fly straight into the session that we have for today. So are we ready, guys? Are we ready? So today we're going to talk about the A to Z of land titles. A to Z of land titles. So do something for me. If you can see my screen, talk to me quickly. Quickly, let's quickly click that. If you can see my screen, I want you to talk to me. If you can see my screen, tell me screen. Great. So wherever you're joining us, maybe you're watching this as a replay on YouTube or you're joining us live quickly. My name is Bodo or the MCO here at Zee. I help you gain the higher possible using real estate as a wealth vehicle, right? And our core target is to make the right investments available and accessible to the younger generation, right? Fondly called Gen Z. Right, so today we're looking at something very important, and that is the A to Z of land surveys. Right, A to Z of land surveys. Right. I didn't used to think surveyors were very important. Let me even pause and ask, what is the job of a surveyor? What's the job of a surveyor? Let me ask. Does anybody know? If you're watching this on YouTube, actually type it in the chat box. What's the job of a surveyor? Let me see if you know. Surveyor, right? How of you just think the most important guy in building is the bricklayer? I used to think like that before. Like all these guys are just looking for, right? What they say to you get a surveyor, you get a civil engineer, you get a structural engineer, who are these guys? Architect and builder. Finish. I be the architect design, the builder will build. That's what I used to think also. But as I began to um grow and know more about real estate, I began to realize that almost every single person is very important, right? If you remove one guy out of the equation, you can have huge problems, right? Even some people who their jobs look relatively maybe not so high. So you look at somebody like the quantity surveyor, the QS, right? And all of that, right? So let's look at HZ of land service. This is a very important document, right? So like I said, we're going to be handling and tackling our documentation series, and we're going to be looking at all of these documents. We're going to explore them in depth. We're going to look at what they should contain, what they should look like, and how to spot the fake ones. Are you with me? And all of that. I think I was just with the client. We're just with the client before this call. We're having some conversations. And he was to get a particular property, and the property was millions. And I looked, I said, no. Why am I able to pull out? Don't buy this yet. Because why? I'm aware of how this document should look like. So if you're going to be somebody who's going to function optimally in the property space, either when you are buying or as a seller, you're going to need to be able to spot these things. Are you with me? Does that make sense, guys? So that's why you need to know your documentation very well. So what exactly is a land survey? A survey plan is simply a document. That's the first thing. It's a what? It's a document. And it depicts the boundaries and shows the accurate measurement of a piece of property. How many of you guys follow us on Instagram? If you follow us on Instagram, type Instagram. I've don't follow us on Instagram, and I don't know how you plan to make heaven, but I mean, I don't know. But if you do, if you check, we posted something on our story. If you don't follow us on Instagram, please follow us. It's very important. We share insightful tips. How many of you know that our Instagram real estate page is not like the average one? How many of you know that? How many of you actually know that? If you go to our page, you know that it's very insightful. Right. Anyways, so we shared something today on our status. Somebody reached out to us and said, sir, can you help me? I have the deed of conveyance. We'll talk about deeds. I think next week we'll look at C of O A to Z. How of you be excited about that? C of O A to Z. I'm going to bring a C of O document. Every time we look at these properties, I'm literally going to bring one of those documents. We'll look at C of O A to Z. Then we'll look at maybe a governor's consent. Then we'll look at what else? A deed. The things a deed should contain. Right. And then we'll look at the contract of sales. That's going to be really interesting. We're going to pick out all the clauses that those real estate companies want to catch you. But anyways, where was that? So the person reached out to me and said, "Why did you have inherited some properties from my father, right? Or grandparents, I can't remember." And he said, "However, I only have the deed of conveyance. right? Which is basically a document that transfers title. I said, what can I do? I don't know where the property is. Can you help me find the location of the property? The property is in Delta State. Now, if it was something in Lagos, it's easy for me, but you're going to carry me from here to Delta State. First of all, you pay for all my flight tickets. You pay for my this thing, my feeding, my accommodation, and my this. But this is it. How many of you know that's very painful? Let me even pause and ask. How many of you that's going to be very painful? You know you have money somewhere, but you don't know where the money is. It's like a guy who had Bitcoin and misplaced his password. So she has a property, but she doesn't know where the property is. What's responsible for that kind of thing? That property. So I just told her basic advice. I said, you know what? Go and check if there's a survey plan. If there's this thing. If there's a property that's registered, they probably can track it. Probably get a lawyer to help you with that, or a surveyor and all that. But this is what I'm even getting to. Follow me, guys. The reason why that was able to happen was simply because a survey plan was not around. Okay, let me give you an example. I stay at, how many of you have put address 45, or let me just say Lagos? Lagos is really big, or Delta. So if you say this C of O is the C of O for a plot of land in Lagos, it's very big. Or in fact, it's not even very big. Go to a place like Kano. Are you know what I'm saying? So the question is, it's one thing to own a property. So your title documents show you that you own it. But then your survey plan shows you where what you own is. Did you hear what I just said? First of all, shows you where what you own. That's the job of survey plan. So you own it is good. Title documents do that. But survey plan shows you where what you own. Now, when we're talking about where what you own, we're not just even talking about we're not just talking about the generic location. So let's imagine, I remember one day we went to a property with a client, and the guy is not so versed in real estate things. You know what I found out? Let me tell you guys, when you start your real estate journey, you know what you realize? The people who don't know and the people who have the least money will stress you the most. How many of you have encountered that if you're probably selling real estate somewhere? They don't know much and they have the least money, right? We're doing some volume with some clients, and the guy wasn't even stressing me. I said, go see better client too. Client with huge volumes, won't stress you. But the one that's buying small property of 500K is one that will be on your neck. Anyways, so we got to, I think I couldn't go on that inspection. So I told the company driver and, I think the GM to go with them. I wasn't available for that inspection. Now they went to the property, and now they got there. So it was a guy and his friend. The friend was a lady and the guy. So the lady got there and liked the property, good property by the roadside and all of that. And then the guy began to ask a question. You know what he said? He said, how do I know where you people's land ends? That usually, are you with me? They will tell you from here to that pole. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Or from here to that red handkerchief. Or from here to that tree is for you. How many of you have, maybe you've gone for an inspection and that's how you've seen that happen before, or even in the movies. How many of you that's happened to you before? So from here to somewhere. So they'll point at that tree or they'll point at that place and they'll tell you, okay, this place to that place, that's how your land is good. And so he said, he was asking them on the side, so where is your own landmark? Where is the Kiniko? And I mean, it didn't make any sense. Because first of all, this development company bought the development an estate. And I think in that estate alone, they had about 60 plots. So my question is, how can you see 60 plots from where you are standing? You want to do as far as your eyes can see. Leave your eyebrow. Are you with me, guys? So it's really, really important, right? Some large expanses of land, you can't even see the end of it. Okay, imagine, all these large Christian estates, right? We have something like Redemption Camp, or you have something like Canaan Land. So they now want to say, where's the extent of the ownership? That's where you stand here. Can you see that? You can't see it. Are you with me? So the survey plan does not just show you where it is, but then it's able to depict the boundaries with precision. Are you with me? With what? Precision. So from this place to that place to this place to that place is for you. Does that make sense? If you're with me thus far, give me feedback, guys. Type sense. If you understand what I'm saying. So if you don't have a survey plan, you will have issues. In fact, there are many times you can be scammed if you don't have a survey plan. So there are neighbors that are amazing. Let's say you are planning to hold your land for 10 years. So they got there ahead of you, they fenced, they shifted their fence in a little, cut maybe 100 meters, 100 square meter from your property. You will know all of this. They encroach into your property. Does that make sense? If your survey plan is not correct, you won't be able to prove that. Are you with me? Right? Not everybody is honest, so you got to have your documentation. So it's going to show the accurate measurement of a piece of it. Now, 10 things every survey plan must have. This is a good place to write. You guys are no more seeing my screen, right? Please confirm that you are not more seeing it. If you are seeing it, type C. If you are not seeing it, type not C. Okay, not C. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you something really, really important now. I want you guys to pay serious attention. If I say something, 10 things every survey plan must have. 10 things every survey plan. Now let me pause and say there are two types of survey plans. Number one is provisional. Number two is registered. Now when it comes to provisional, let me tell you how provisional is. It's very simple. I'm taking this, maybe this is my survey plan. I go and get surveyor ABC. I say, please, this land, help me and survey it. So he will go there, survey it, and put it on a paper. So it's usually cheaper. So that's what we call provisional survey. However, I can take this survey, go and lodge it with the government. That's what we call, you lodge it. So when the government punches their system, are you with me? It will show that this property has been registered to be, under the ownership of ABC. And it's usually the first step, before you even process yourself, you have to do a registered survey. So this is usually more expensive. But currently, I think this runs around 250. This runs around 50K for a provisional survey plan. So sometimes people don't want to do this, right? But if you can do a registered survey, it's usually the best. Provisional survey is just usually for personal use. But the most secure is to do a registered survey. And maybe I'll do another video on that as time goes on. So I'm sorry. So 10 things every survey plan must have. I'm sharing this. If you can see this on my screen, type this. Let's start from the top. This is a typical survey plan. If you can see that type of survey plan, that's a typical survey plan. This is a typical survey plan. Great. I want you to pay serious attention. So we are looking at it just like a plain document. But then within the next few minutes, I'm going to expatiate on it, and then you know how important it is. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, great. So now, firstly, I want you to follow me carefully. Carefully. The survey plan, pay attention, it's very important. The first thing that you see, let me see if you can see what I've zoomed in. My goodness, I kept this here, so it'll be easier for me to write on it. Okay, great. Hope you can see this. What do you see? Follow me. It says plan showing property. I want you to see this clause in red. Can you see it? If you can see it, type what you can see. If you can see it, type what you can see. Follow me very. Said to belong to. So pay attention. One of the things you need to realize is that if me, now, person A, I go to surveyor, I say, please, this property is for me. Help me to survey it and develop, generate my own survey plan. I will go to surveyor S. Surveyor S will collect money and say, no problem. He will go to the land. When he goes to the land, you know what he'll do? He will survey it and then generate the document. Are you following me? He'll survey it and generate the document. Are you following what I'm saying? I know you guys are not seeing my screen. I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. So he'll survey it, and then when he surveys it, he will generate the document. Are you following me? Now, when he generates that document, he's the one that will put it like that, said to belong to. You know what that means? That means in the nearest future, if there's a dispute on that property, the surveyor is free. Does that make sense? That is, they said it belongs to. That clause is a clause that saves the surveyor in terms of a case. Are you following what I'm saying? If you understand what I've said just far, type understand. So what am I really getting at? I want you to follow me carefully. I'm showing you that the fact that I have the survey plan of a property does not mean I'm the rightful owner. Did you hear what I just said? Especially when it's not registered. So anybody can survey any piece of land. I can literally come to your house with my surveyor, pick the coordinates, and generate a survey plan. So if somebody tells you, there are many documents you use to verify ownership. Are you with me? A survey plan is part, but it is not all of it. Does that make sense? And it's part of it, but it's not all of it. So simply because somebody has a survey plan of a property doesn't mean it's the owner. That's why they say said to belong to. So in future, if there's problem, that surveyor will say, I put it to, I say he said to belong to. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so let's move on. So the first thing that every survey plan must have, can you hear me? Every survey plan must have is the name. Everybody type name if you're with me thus far. If you're with me thus far, type name. Type it again, type name. Great. Now, why? Listen, remember that I said ownership is concretized by a couple of documents, right? So let me give you an example. If somebody bought a property from person A, there are certain documents we need to see. For example, we should see a deed of assignment. If he bought it and he paid for it, we also want to see the receipt. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we want to ensure that the roots, when we're checking the roots of the property is good. So where I'm really getting to is that a survey plan is one of those other things in addition. So it's not a standalone document. Are you following what I'm saying? It's not a what? It's not a standalone document. So we want to see the name. And why is this name important? Pay attention. Listen to me very carefully. We want to see the name. So they said to belong to, then there'll be a name there. First of all, you want to ask yourself, if this property, follow me carefully. Follow me very carefully. If this property belongs to Mr. A, are you following me? Is Mr. A the one that is selling it to me? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's number one. Is Mr. A, sorry, a bit distracted here. Oh, you guys aren't seeing my screen. Are you seeing it now? I apologize. Are you guys seeing this? Are you guys seeing my screen? Great. Okay. So I said set to belong to. Now, for privacy purposes, the name has been blurred out. So the name must be here. Now, follow me carefully. I have taught this and I'll keep teaching you. Follow me. Are you aware that when you register a company, right, a limited liability company, that's an LTD. So let's say currently my name is Bolo Kunade. Follow me carefully. This is very important. Are you aware that Bolo Kunade is a person? Now, if I found a company, like if I own a company like Zee Realty Limited, listen to me very carefully. Zee Realty Limited. Listen, are you aware that if I buy a property, Bolo Okwade, in the name of Bolo Okwade, it's different from me buying a property with the name of Zee Realty? Are you following me? So, although I am the owner of Zee Realty, if I bought that property with the name of Zee Realty, then the property should read belonging to Zee Realty, not belonging to Bolo Okwade, Zee Realty Limited. Are you with me? So, although I am the CEO, if I did not buy that property in my name, the survey should not be in my name. Are you with me? So, because the law recognizes Bolo Okwade and Zee Realty as two different people. How many of you know that? There's certain times, certain of these big people have understood these things. So, big people, I don't know, I think there's a law that says if you divorce, I think the wife will get 50% or whatever, I don't know. I think the fortune basically is shared 50-50. So some of these, really rich, what they do is they don't register their properties in their name. They'll go and buy all their properties in their company's name because the law sees me and my company as different entities once I'm a limited liability company. Are you with me? So if you are dealing with a real estate company, you do not want to see the name of the MD on the survey plan. You want to see the name of the company, except it's the MD that is selling his property, personal property to you. If that makes sense, type name. So that's the first thing. Any survey plan that does not have a name is questionable. Now, it's not just enough to have a name. You want to ask yourself, the name on this property, is it the person selling it to me? Okay, if person A's name is on the survey plan, and you are person B, where is person A? And do you have the right to sell the property? Are you following what I'm saying, guys? Because if the name here is person A and you are not the person, do you have the right? There's something we call power of attorney. Do you have the right to sell the property? If you don't have the right to sell the property, why are you selling it? Because if you buy from this guy, you literally have been scammed if you don't have the right to sell the property. Are you following me? So the name, as little as it is very important. Ensure that it is the person, and if it's a company, ensure that it is the company. That's number one. Number two, you have to ensure that there are no grammatical errors. Do you hear what I just said? In that name, if you are buying from A, B, let's say you're buying from, how many of you are following me? See how I'm detailing these things. This is what makes people lose millions. Now, for example, the name of our company is Zee Realty Limited. ZEE Realty Limited. It's not the same. How many of you are aware? It is not the same. So you think it's just one E. No, it is not the same. So that's very important that we start from there. Now, the next thing that you must have is the address. Let me emphasize. Remember, the whole job of the survey plan is to show you exactly where the property is. So if the survey plan is not showing me where my property is, there's no point. So listen, can you see at Herbert Orji Avenue, Osapa, London, Etiosa local government? Listen, there are two categories here. The first category is in urban areas. What do I mean by urban areas? In urban areas, these places are developed, right? So the places have, developed their roads and all of that. So they have named the streets and all of that. So in places like that, you want to have the streets. Sometimes, if possible, if they've already divided, you want to have the plot, the streets, the area, the local government, and the states. Listen, plot, street, area, local government, and the state. But sometimes you won't have this, and sometimes you won't have this. Why? Because some places are rural. So for urban, all this must be there. You may not have the plot, like it's not here. Then you'll probably have the what do you call them? You have, so if it's rural, that's places that are still developing. So maybe in a village, right? Or maybe in some places currently at the time of this recording, this training in Ekpe. So if you go to Ekpe, some places they have not yet high marked the roads. Just bush in some, please pay attention, in some of those places. Are you with me? So if you go to those rural areas, you may not be able to get a street because they have not yet, are you with me? So you may just see maybe a community name, local government, and state. But you want the address to be as detailed as possible. Now, usually, that's number two. Let me give you a judge. The next thing is the scale. Pay attention. Now, some of you may look at this scale and think the scale is not necessary. Listen very carefully. Now, when it's time to build on your property, how many of you know that this document, this land, is what your architect is going to take to design? So let me tell you what this means. 1 to 500 means every single line here, if I'm not mistaken, I think I remember this. Please correct me, but yeah, I think I'm correct. Multiply times 500, that's the real distance. Are you with me? So that means this 20.5, let's see if you're ever following me. 20.5 meter. What's the real distance? Times what? 500 in real life. So everybody give me 20 times 5 is what? Come on. Are you receiving value? 20 times 5 is what? 20.5 times 500 is what? Sorry. 20.5 times 500 is what? 10,250. So that means this is actually 10,250. So you may think the scale is not important, but are you aware that if this scale is wrongly done, and this is 1 to 100, are you aware that then this means this is actually 205 meters? Are you aware that that alone can be a problem? 10,250 to 250 meters. So you cannot go and claim that you own 10,250 meter length on that land. You only own 205 if you do a wrong survey plan. So your scale is very important. Very, very important. Anyways, so that's number two. How many things have I said now? Let me see if you're following me. Tell me everything I've said, everybody. Come on, tell me everything I've said. Tell me everything I've said. Let's go. Let's see if you're following. The name, great. Also see the address. You want to see the proper scale, right? Great. I think I also did a quick explanation on why you see said to belong to. So you don't say, oh, he has a survey plan, it automatically means it's his own. Doesn't always directly mean. So now the next thing you want to see is, listen to me carefully, is the surveyor's seal. How many of you can see it? Surveyor's seal. The surveyor's seal. How many of us know what a seal is? It's more like a stamp, but it just impresses on the paper. What the surveyor's seal shows you is that this survey was done by a registered surveyor. It was done by a registered surveyor. Listen to me carefully. A survey done by a registered surveyor does not automatically make it a registered survey. Remember I talked about the registered survey and the professional survey? No. A registered survey, let me give you an example. How many of you know that currently there are people who are authorized? Okay, let's use your traditional. If you're in Nigeria, some people connect us not from us. So if you're in Nigeria, NEPA, right? PHCA, they're actually the ones licensed and authorized to climb up and do your electricity connection pole and all of that. But are you aware that there are other electricians that can do it? How many of you know what I'm talking about? How many of you know that? So they can have the skill, but they are not registered, they are not certified. So some days, if there is any issue, you can't do anything because you got a quack. So the registered guys may be more expensive. But let me tell you, if there's any issue in the survey, one of the advantages of using a registered surveyor is that these people usually, first of all, they have a database. So they can be tracked, can get the exact person. Are you with me? Sometimes, engineers also have this, I think they call their body current. So even though you have finished your education in school, current has to certify that you are actually a qualified engineer. There are certain projects in Nigeria, if you do not have that certification, you cannot have it, you cannot handle that construction project. Are you with me? And sometimes, if you are involved in malicious activities, let's say as an engineer, you compromised on quality and then the building collapsed, they can seize your license. So the seal represents that it was done by a registered surveyor. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the next thing you want to also see, pay attention. Let's go back to the top. Is the size of the property. So listen, can you see this here? Area 152.404 square meters. The size should contain two things. It contains the number and the units. Ensure the units are there. Because if the number is there, are you aware that 50 is, okay, let me even say, are you aware that this 50, are you aware that they are not the same? 50 feet, 50 meter, they are not the same. Does that make sense? Can you see the difference? So, there's a lot of land scam that happens. I can't begin to give you guys explanations. So some days you bought 150 square meter, they'll change to feet, they'll change feet to all of that. So ensure that the unit in which they measured is clear. And that's why sometimes you go to bank, you say you should write in figures and write in words. Does that make sense? Great. So let's move on. Are you guys gaining value? Are you learning stuff? So the unit should be there, the size of the land and the units. So if you bought 1,000 square meters, that's what you should see on your survey plan. Do not buy 1,000 square meters and then on your survey plan, it's not showing 1,000 square meters. Great. Now the next thing that you want to see is what we call the survey plan number. How many of you can see this? Any survey plan without the plan number is a joke. Is a what? Is a joke. Now, this plan number is very important. When you have your survey plan number, if you want to process, let's say you want to start doing your C of O, if it doesn't have a C of O, or you want to do your governor's consent, are you with me? It's this survey plan number that is going to be on your CFO. We're going to talk about CFO next week. And what you're going to see is you see that you see the survey plan number in the CFO. So if the survey doesn't have a plan number, when you want to process your CFO, you will have to pay and still redo a proper survey. So that's why it's good to give a registered surveyor at the beginning. Right. So your plan number, this is covered, because it's confidential. It's confidential. So ensure that you have your survey has a plan number. It will be indicated, it will be included in your, what do you call them, in your CFO documents and all of that, right? And sometimes it's also used when processing, right? If they want to check your file, they'll just get your number and they'll be able to know the current positioning and status. So let's go back to base. So does that make sense? Are you following me thus far? Okay, so can we move on? So you want to see the survey plan number. Now, the next thing you want to see is the date. Now, this white place that is covered is the date, and it's like that because it's very important. The date. So you see, plan me by me on so. Now, first of all, you want your date to be written in words, not shorthand. 2002. So if I do, or let's say 202 12, you can mean 2nd of February 2012, 12th of February 2002. Are you with me? So shorthand dates can be manipulated. Now, you may not know why it's important for dates. However, once some people want to start playing some funny games, right, you start seeing date manipulation on your documents. So they surveyed the property in 2023. However, they will write that they did it in 1998. Are you with me? So many dramatic things can happen around dates, especially properties that are gazetted. Remember what I talked about? Excision with gazette. Then before they publish it in the gazette, and so some people will tweak their survey documents. But the thing is that if you manipulate a date and you are caught, you will go to jail. So ensure that the date is proper. Are you following me? So the survey plan you have the dates. And why is that important? Amongst many things, you see, when we want to do what we call a search on the property, one of the things that we do is we begin to trace. Okay, person A, let's say person A is who you want to buy the property from. Now, how did this guy get the property? Okay, he got the property, let's say he bought from person B. Okay, person B bought from person C. Person C bought from, you get what I'm saying? There are actually properties like that. Going. So, some days when they did the survey, it should hint us sometimes, not all the times, about a region of when the property was bought. So we know the year to go to do a check when the property is in. But if you just alter the dates, it can bring a lot of problems. So that's that about that. How many have we touched about now? We have a few more minutes to wrap up. How many days have we talked about? So in setting property history, so let's pause. How many have you learned? If you're watching this on YouTube, type everything you have heard thus far. Number 1. Okay, we're talking about 7. Great. Now, the next thing that you also want to see is, pay attention. Let's talk about 4 more things. Now, you want to see the signature. Now, this is covered. So the date was here, it's covered for, and the signature, right? Are you with me? The signature is very important. Signature. So not just the stamp, you want to also see the what? Signature. Signature is very important. Signature is very important. It's an authentication that this person did it, and that's why this guy covered the signature. Because some people are very fraudulent. They will take the survey plan and they can go and do some mago, put this guy's name and signature. Are you with me? The guy can enter wahala, it's not aware of. So that's why the guy is confidential enough, to secure his signature. So the signature must be there. Does that make sense? Last three, and then we wrap up for today. Are you guys getting value? Is it making sense to you? The next thing is the shape of the land. Now, you can see the shape of this land is there. Shape of the land is very important. So if your land is like this, you get the survey plan should show you. If your land is like this, the shape. So that means any survey plan without the diagrammatic representation of the property is invalid. So you must have that. That's very important. You want to see the shape of that property there. Are you with me? The shape of that property is very, very important. It shows us, that. And now, it's not just important for importance sake. You also want to see, listen, the boundaries. So we have seen, okay, this property is facing Herbert Orji Avenue. Can you see that? Sometimes, you see a property like this, and then you see another road here. Right? So let's say ABC Avenue, ABC Road. Right? Some days you can see maybe some far, maybe it's close, there's a river here. So it should not just highlight that, it must highlight the landmarks. Are you with me? So sometimes if your property is the corner piece and all of that. So the shape will always, in fact, rarely will you see this thing. You see the land and you see the road. That's something that usually, if there's a road, you see the road to the property there. And why is that important? Some of you may not know how important this is. I'll tell you a story. There was a guy who bought a property, and then now let's imagine there's a house here. This is the only road into this property. Now there's a house here. There are some wicked people. Property. Who that think property business is easy? I just laugh. So this land, let's say, is 1,000 square meter. There's no road here. Also here is another person's property. So now, this guy knows that the only way to this property is through this road. Are you with me? Now, sometimes, how many of you have seen this kind of properties that is maybe one at the front, another back? So there was a story like that. This kind of land now. So the only way to this property is like this. Now, this guy sold the back of the property and left the front. He didn't sell the front. So let's say the value he sold the back. So this guy got to his property and realized after he has paid, there's no road into his property. So he was forced to buy the front again so that he can now create a way into his property. Are you with me? So that's why all these things are indicated in the survey plan. Some people have bought landlocked properties. Will you be jumping to your house? So it's times like that they may now need to have conversations with the neighbors here and there and here and there and here and there and all of that. So does that make sense? Okay, so I've talked about the shape of the land. The last two things are what we call the beacon numbers. How many of you can see this SCLACA 3000? Those are what we call beacon numbers. Beacon numbers. So pay attention. The beacon numbers are put there strategically. So when the surveyor surveys the land, he will go to the land physically and put these beacons there on on the land. They will show the boundaries of the land. So sometimes when you want to fence the property, they will now just connect the beacons together, and that will become the fence. Does that make sense? So the surveyor will not just bring out the plan. He will go to the land and erect those beacons there on the property itself. So now listen to me very carefully, guys. If a person, it's only a surveyor, first of all, that can buy these beacon numbers. You're not a surveyor, it's a special place they get in the ministry and all that. So it's only surveyors that can buy the beacon numbers. If surveyors don't buy those beacon numbers, you can't have them. So they'll buy it and then they'll fix it by themselves. Are you with me? They'll buy the beacon numbers and then they'll fix it by themselves on the property. Now listen, one of the most fraudulent ways, how of you know this thing they call honoraries? When they want to defraud, maybe they've sold the land. One of the first things they'll go and do, they'll go and remove these beacons on the plot of land, because they know that an intelligent person, are you with me, knows what these beacons are for. So they'll go and remove the beacons and all of that, and tell you that nobody owns the land yet. They have not even done something on it and all of that. So that's one risky thing. You have to be cautious. Now the last thing is the coordinates. So you can see things like this, degrees, and I've forgotten this other one. Is it minutes? Coordinates. Right? And what are coordinates for? Very simple. They pinpoint exact location. So you know the same way you have Google Maps and all of that. If you actually put those coordinates inside any GIS system, are you your GPS system, whatever, right? We should be able to see the land. So there are certain times, just basic. You bring the coordinates of your property. You just put it inside one basic. You just see it's taking you to another place. This is very important. Follow me carefully, guys. You may think this is little, but let me tell you another story. Listen. Some people fake C of O documents. What do I mean? So, or when you are doing C of O, and that's why you have to learn this thing. They want to pull a scam on you. So, listen. Let's say property A is here. Property business. Let's say property A is here. The coordinates are A, B, C, D. Property here. Property B. The coordinates are D, E, F, G. Are you following me? So this one has a C of O. This one doesn't have. But when they are doing it and when they want to show you, they'll show you a document presenting these coordinates. Are you following me? So when they give you these coordinates, you will go and check. And to show you that, yes, this property has a C of O. However, if you do not cross-check that these are the coordinates of your own property, are you with me? It can be a property in VI that they are showing you. Are you with me? And because they gave you the coordinates, you will check. They will tell you it has CFO, and you will check and you actually see that it has CFO, but it's not the coordinates of the property. So those coordinates are very, very, very important, right? I'll take a break here and ask, do we have any questions? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? How many have I mentioned? I think that's 11. That's a good place to stop. How many of you have received value? You see how little this document is and how it literally it literally can mean a lot. Great. Let's pull back to our slides. Great. So as little as it is, when you as a person handle a survey document, you know what to check for. But you can check for these 11 things, low chance that you'll be scammed. Are you with the survey plan? So thank you so much once again in the absence of any questions. I'm sure that you guys receive value from today's session. You can always send us a message on Instagram at Realty, and you can also send us a message on WhatsApp. Let me just highlight this. This is IG, and this is WhatsApp. Send us a message if you have any contact, if you have anything, or if you're even looking to buy property, we'll help you peruse, and find something that's optimal for you. Does that make sense, guys? So we've come to the end of this session. See you guys in the next session. So before we go, do something for me. Take a screenshot of whatever of this, share on Instagram whatever you learned, and tag us. Share on Instagram whatever you learned and tag us. Tag us at ZeroTHQ, right? Tell them, I can survey the world now. So thank you so much, guys. Next week we're going to look at something very important. Like I said, it's either we look at a CFO or we look at a contract of sales, and I think that will end our documentation series, and then we'll now move into how to sell, branding yourself, a mindset, and all of that for probably another 10 weeks. Now lead us into next year and all of that. So thank you so much once again. Have an amazing. Don't forget to tag us. Like I said, these sessions are free. The best you can do is actually just give us a shout out on Instagram. But if we're to charge you for this, some of you know it's going to cost a lot. To charge you for a training session of 52 weeks, it's going to cost you a lot, a lot, a lot. However, we're doing this at no cost to the tribe. So thank you so much once again. See you next week. Have a good day.